This is the Dan Levatar show with the Stugatz on the ticket.
So how do you feel about Jeter being introduced today? The Marlins are – I see a whole lot of people all of a sudden thinking to themselves, wait a minute, they're going to go with a cheaper payroll than Loria? They're not going to even have Stanton? I got to give Loria credit on this one. Man, did he handle the Stanton thing right. Like, he figured out exactly how to handle that. Don't pay him anything out of your pocket. Someone else will get stuck with that debt. But keep him around here in a way that makes you seem like the hero, and then the guy who's got to get rid of him. Because this is not going to be blamed on Loria. That they lose Stanton is not going to be blamed on Loria when it should be, given that 7 years he hasn't been able to do bleep around him, and now Stanton wants to leave. Stanton wants to leave because he's like, I'll get my money somewhere else. I don't want to be here. I don't want to be around losing and low payrolls anymore.
It's a great move by him. A great strategic business move by Jeffrey Loria.
I wish he had
already blaming Jeter.
I wish he had run the entire franchise as smartly as he did that one move. Because they'd be champions.
Yeah.
Instead of a dumpster fire. Because that move was good. He got Stanton at value, and now someone else is going to get blamed. What he did is he figured it out. They had to do the sell-off so many times that they figured out the right way to do it, which is just pay Stanton nothing for the first 4 years of his deal and then backload it in a way that once you've sold the team, it's not your responsibility anymore. That's just amazing.
It is amazing.
You have to be a master scammer to pull that off. Like, do you realize
what's surprising about this, though?
But do you realize what a pioneer he is on this front? It is an unprecedented contract in sports history in every way. The pioneer is Jeffrey Loria.
Yep. Man, they got a stadium built in a city that does not want baseball. I mean, this should be the least shocking thing, at least for me.
What's the least shocking thing?
Just the fact that he would be able to maneuver the Stanton contract in a way that
it suggests public relations competence that they showed at no point during their tenure.
I guess you're right.
It's a scheme of public opinion that they kept Stanton, and the only way they could do it is with Bernie Madoffing it. The only way they could not, they would have lost Stanton already. Right. If they hadn't tied him to that contract. And the only way they could tie him to that contract, because they didn't have funds, was to create a Ponzi scheme pioneering contract that Jeter would get stuck with.
Right. But I guess what I'm saying is, based on the characters, based on Jeffrey Loria, David Sampson, are you surprised they were able to pull that kind of deal off?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Scott, what gave you any impression whatsoever that they were savvy or cared about public relations at any point in their 10 years?
Not PR, just the money aspect of it. The fact that we'll pay him nothing and then he'll be someone else's problem after we sell the team. Hatching that plan, that's all I'm talking about.
I just don't remember this the way that you guys remember it. When they signed the Stanton contract, I remember all of us being puzzled by the way it was structured. I don't remember a whole lot of people saying, even though you guys claim they were, that Loria had figured out an escape hatch and was definitely going to be selling the team in, as fast as he possibly could under the legal terms of the stadium contract. I did not see that coming. I thought Loria would die in that chair because he cares too much. He's going to be really lonely, man. He is going to be really lonely without the glory that comes from being a sports owner.
Wah. Yeah. Poor Jeffrey Loria.
Let me be lonely with a couple of $1 billion.
Get out of here.
I feel like today's supposed to be a happy day, and you're bringing a really weird energy to the day, Dan.
Oh, no, wait a minute. No. I was representing what I thought was your viewpoint. I don't have any issue with this. I thought you were the one that was down on Jeter.
Oh, Jeter. I am down on him. Don't get me started on him. Do you see Jeffrey took his bobbleheads with him?
Yeah.
He's taking the bobblehead museum.
He's 4 years old. I want you to think about $1 billion transaction being made and Jeffrey Loria actually negotiating bobbleheads. He's 4 years old.
Look, it appears that this Jeter thing might not be a great situation for all of us. But before we get there, let us celebrate the departure of the most hated owner in the history of South Florida, Jeffrey Loria.
When's the parade?
We're still working on that. I spoke with somebody over at. Why you guys laugh? You realize how impossible this thing is?
No, I'm not.
I was not laughing at you. That was
Mike.
Guillermo and Stugatz. And based on his work this first segment, Guillermo shouldn't be laughing at anybody.
What does that mean?
That you're sitting here saying this is supposed to be a happy day when you've been saying get Jeter out of here, and I miss Jeffrey Loria for 3 weeks.
I was thinking about it. Is Jeffrey Loria really that bad?
Oh my God.
Look at the resume. We got a World Series. We got like 3 World Baseball Classics. We got a stadium. We got an awesome home run sculpture.
Got an all-star game.
We got an all-star game.
An all-star game that they took away from us.
Yeah, but we
already.
got it.
That's
Doesn't
true.
matter, but
No,
we
but
got
they
it.
He got it back.
Yeah.
He
got it
that
back.
for us, Dan.
Yeah.
What's Jeter ever given us?
I don't understand what your viewpoints are on this.
I don't know either. I'm so conflicted because I wanted Jeffrey Loria to leave so bad, and this Jeter seems to be worse than Loria. So I don't want him either. I want a good, competent owner with money
this
that's
was
going to
supposed to
spend
be a
it.
happy day.
I'm so conflicted. I thought so too, but I don't know what to think, Dan. What do I think? And now they want to bring back Jack McKeon, and they want to have Jeff Conine and Andre Dawson and Tony Perez, and they want them to have some other role. Did we save their jobs? I don't know. I'm so confused, Dan. What's going on with the Marlins?
I would have liked that earlier in this.
I'm so happy for Stanton, but I called him a grande por gusto, but he had such a good year, but he wants to leave, but he had such... I just... What do I do, Dan? What do I do with this team? Because I was happy with the way the season ended. It was a disappointing season, but it was a fun season.
They scored a lot of runs, man.
They did. Yeah. I do understand your frustration. You went to Guillermo to get that about 4 minutes
That's
ago.
right.
Yeah.
And there it is. Yeah. After
and
the
he
fact,
gave you a
when I
happy
don't
day.
want it, and now it was
I
too
don't think
loud.
dumpster fire is fair also. Did you see the stat that Clark Spencer tweeted out about the Marlins over Jeffrey Loria's tenure in the Dolphins? They had a better win percentage than the Dolphins.
What's that saying?
That's saying they're not the mess of the town.
Okay. And I'm better endowed than a eunuch. Like, what? Well, okay, congratulations. You're better than the Dolphins?
They also scored more runs than the Dodgers, but we gave up 200 more runs than the Dodgers gave up. It's his pitching. And why, by the way, can I ask you a question? Why is everyone out of here except Michael Hill? Can you explain that to me? He seems to be the one responsible for this roster. Why is he the only one sticking around?
It is an odd guy to keep around, is it not? I mean, the one guy who survives is Mike Hill.
Billy wants Tony Perez in charge.
Oh, that's not a bad idea.
They need somebody to help them transition.
And it's Mike Hill?
They need somebody. I'm not even sure they'll keep Mike Hill. They kept David Sampson around for a little bit in order to just fire people. They might be keeping Mike Hill around just because they don't know where to get the files. I'm not even kidding you. Like, hey, Mike, what are the passwords? I'm not kidding you. Like, they're going to blow everyone out. I don't think Mike Hill's going to keep his job. Do you?
You think Mike Hill has the passwords?
I'm just saying that he knows. Like, I'm saying they need to transition. You can't just have everyone leave the organization. You don't know where the coffee is.
I was reading that they might be interested in some guy from the Braves who's like under investigation for all these illegal signings in the Caribbean, which seems like a terrible person. Like, stay away from him. Don't sign that guy to run your team, please. This isn't going to be any better, is it, Dan?
I don't know.
We don't know.
Here's the thing, though. I would say to you that I want to take my chances with the possibility that it might be better simply and exclusively by seeing if these guys can get cheap young talent. If they're better at making a farm system. Because, good Lord, their farm system is in shambles, and it's hard to believe. It is hard to believe how barren their farm system is, given over the years the number of people that with value that they've traded.
Right. Nearly impossible to have this bad of a farm system.
It's
based
really
on that.
hard.
Yes.
Like, it's really hard in baseball, where you can like measure what prospects are going to become by just checking their minor league plate discipline over 3 seasons.
Right.
You can have a pretty good idea of what it is flabbergasting that they have nothing that anyone wants in their farm system. And really the only thing the Marlins have, think about this, after 10 years of building, 10 years of on the cheap, going for prospects and trying to do it through the draft and minor league with very little free agent help. After 10 years of that, the only thing valuable in your entire organization is your outfield. That's it. You got nothing else. You got nothing else in the farm system. You got nothing in the bullpen. You got nothing on the pitching mound. You got nothing in the infield that anybody wants. I guess Bohr.
D. Gordon.
Yeah, maybe D. Gordon.
I think they'd take JT Realmuto, too.
Well, I mean, what are you getting for those guys? Like, what you think you're going to get a big-time prospect? Maybe for Bohr. Maybe for
Bohr. No, the big-time prospects are coming back if you want to deal Stanton, if you want to get rid of Yelich, who has a good contract.
Prospects for Gordon and Realmuto, even though they're serviceable players. Like those are players they've been good for them.
They could fix that farm system with a couple of trades, though, right? A Stanton
Well,
trade,
but
a Yelich trade.
what I'm saying is when he says, is this going to be any better, is I'd like to see what Jeter flips Stanton into, because the Marlins flipped Cabrera into nothing.
Right.
Into nothing. Into Burke Badenhop.
Yep, the hopper.
And you got Andrew Miller, and thank you. You got Andrew Miller and Cameron Maybin. They're still in the big leagues, but they're not even playing for you anymore.
The trade's not terrible now.
The trade's not terrible now.
Right now.
Because the guys are producing for other teams.
Andrew Miller's much better than Miguel Cabrera right now, right?
Wait a minute.
More valuable.
The trade is still terrible. You had the best right-handed hitter of my lifetime practically for 10 years in Detroit, and what you had for him was Burke Badenhop.
They saw something with Andrew Miller. They were right.
Eventually.
This is just annoying, though, because now I need to wait like another 5 years for them to be good. Like, I don't want to wait 5 years. We're close-ish. We need pitching, but we're not going to get it.
Yeah, but you don't have anything of value to get it with.
I mean, spend some money.
I mean, okay, but they did. They gave $80 million to Chen. Like that was their big pitching acquisition.
It's baseball. Every time that you think they're going to be bad, they're not that bad. Every time you think they're going to be good, they're terrible. Let's relax.
I'm not going to question having Luria out of our lives.
Exactly. I thought this was a good day. We've been waiting for this
That's what I'm
day
saying. I feel
since
mixed.
this show started.
You owe $2 for this entire segment.
Better the devil you know, Dan.
You're not making any better. $4.
Me? I've killed it this segment. What are you talking about?
You killed the segment.
You killed the segment. I'm actually excited about the baseball playoffs. I really am. Those are some good baseball teams.
Starts tonight. Well, except the Twins. Easy on the Twins. They're not very good.
No, the Twins aren't very good, but they're like, I have no Arizona at Cleveland. Cleveland is so deep. Arizona, the Cubs. Like, the Dodgers are going to get accused of choking this year if they don't get out of the National League, and it's going to be damn hard to get out of the National League because those teams are good.
They are very good, but the Dodgers, I mean, eventually you got to do something in the postseason, right? Especially Kershaw.
Fine, but it's random.
I don't care how. You know what? It's random for everyone. Do something in the postseason. They're there every year. They've won 5 straight division titles. How about win a series in the playoffs? Mm-hmm. I'm serious, man. Mm-hmm. And Kershaw, they spend more money than anyone. Kershaw's a disaster in the postseason, and Yu Darvish, that's going to be, to me, that's the difference. Can Yu Darvish be a great number 2 for the Dodgers? I don't think that he can. Just giving you some baseball analysis.
I mean, I just love Stugatz's opinions that are based on nothing. He went 5-0.
Based on gut, man.
A gut that is more substantive after all those hurricane snacks you ate.
Killing me.
I'm very disappointed in this opening segment.
You are?
Yeah. Because this was the show that Lori is officially gone.
Well, this is why I have fined Billy. This is why I have now fined Billy $4 on this segment. Guillermo caused this when he said, "What are you doing? I thought this was supposed to be a happy day." And all I was doing was voicing what I thought were Guillermo's opinions that are now conflicted.
I mean, how am I supposed to feel, Dan?
Well put.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugatz on the ticket.
Giancarlo Stanton, Mike Ryan, is in a sensual, sultry music video. He was on Jimmy Kimmel Live. He gone. He wants to be out there. Like he wants to live in Los Angeles, not Miami. Like He's going to end up someplace else. He said on Jimmy Kimmel Live that he hasn't even met with the new owners. We have that sound here from, but just the idea that he would sit down. That has not been who Stanton has been. But now he's making music videos. Now he's even going on Jimmy Kimmel Live, which is not something he would have wanted to do once upon a time.
So you have new ownership now in Miami. Derek Jeter's one of the owners of the team. And there are a lot of rumors that they're going to rebuild. They're going to just kind of knock everything down and start over again and maybe send you to another team. Does that seem crazy to you?
It does seem crazy because that's all I've known my whole career.
I mean, how many home runs do you have to hit for this team to want you to stay around?
Right.
Have you spoken? Have you had meetings with them and expressed this?
We're going to get together after the World Series. Everything stays a bit quiet until then.
You've had no meetings with the new ownership?
No meetings.
Wow. That is just unbelievable to me. You would look so good in a Mets uniform. You know that?
It's going to be a Dodger uniform.
I like beating up on the Mets.
Funny. That's weird. Like, you would think Derek Jeter, the first thing he would do is figure out a way to get with Giancarlo Stanton.
Well, he had to replace the sculpture first.
Right.
I mean, he was busy.
More important.
Yeah,
Right.
come on.
You've got to meet with him unless he gone. Yeah. Like, all he is a value. He's a value that they're going to cut payroll, and that's where they're going to cut it. Like,
he should be gone, right? That's the smart baseball. I'm no dog in this Marlins race, but that didn't make sense. But anyways, he should be gone, right? That's what they should do is.
I guess. I mean, a 27-year-old who just hit 50 homers,
who's being
entering
paid,
his prime.
59 home runs.
59, entering his prime.
Paid all of the money on a team that won't be competitive during his window. Right?
Jeter should be gone. This Mattingly should be gone, if you ask me. Jeez.
I mean, he's paying himself $5 million a year, Derek Jeter, and he can't figure out 15 minutes to meet with Giancarlo Stanton. Seriously, I mean,
he has been all around town, going to see plays and going to dinners with P. Diddy. He can't meet with his actual team. It's a bit much.
It's an editor.
He needs to go on and needs to donate money to this, and he's just, he just likes the applause. How about do your job?
Well, his job, to Mina's point, though, Mina's right about this. He is their value. If they've got to cut payroll, and he says they're going to cut payroll, if they're going to cut payroll because they don't have money, that's the big contract that you move because it's one that people will take. It has that value, and they'll give you something in return for it. Unfortunately, you won't get value for him like you would for a normal 59-homer, 27-year-old person because everyone knows that contract is something that the Marlins need to move.
It's a curious piece of real estate you've already carved out. We've spent what seemed like a lifetime trying to get Loria out of here.
It's weird.
You're already not giving Jeter
It's weird.
a chance.
No, I need
weird,
an upgrade.
Man.
This is not an upgrade. This is a poor Loria.
I'm totally with Guillermo on this.
Loria.
No, because we all thought it would be a celebratory time down here when the Marlins.
We're having an actual parade. Mike has been having city council meetings, getting permits for a parade.
I haven't had some calls returned on that.
But I'm with Billy. It doesn't feel like we should be celebrating because the new owners, you figured if he sold the team, new owners would come in and spend money. And these new owners are telling you, no, we're going to operate the same exact way as he did.
There's this belief that oh, you tear it down and you become the Astros. It's like we've torn this down so many times and we're not the Astros. Just because you tear it apart doesn't mean you're going to be great again.
That's true. But Jeter, the idea behind Jeter and his baseball people, why would Jeter not believe, I could do that better. I'm smarter. Look at me. Look at me. Newspapers and sports publications were dying. I got in that game and I made something that mattered. Look at me. I always win. I don't need as much money. I'm smarter than everybody else. I always win. I'm better than everyone else.
He's not. Prove me wrong.
It's October. Are we really burying Derek Jeter now?
Yep.
Well, this is the problem we're weirded out by Guillermo. He wanted this owner gone so much, and he hasn't given the new owner not 5 minutes of benefit of the doubt.
Why should I? What has he done for me? Oh, 3,000 hits. Please. What has he done for me as an owner? Nothing. He's come in. He's like, I want to get rid of the sculpture that I love. Oh, I want to get rid of
that's
this.
What this is
I
all
want to get rid of that. Oh, I want to trade everybody.
He got rid of luminaries.
Luminaries.
Exactly. Thank you.
Luminaries. We're so successful.
Well, no, he did not get rid of luminaries. He made someone else get rid of luminaries.
Exactly. Gutless.
Oh, you didn't like that either.
And then he brought back the luminaries, we think. Maybe.
Wait, really?
Do we know?
Gutless.
Wow.
He
He
bent
is.
to
He's
pressure.
gutless. I mean,
He's gutless either way. He's gutless if he fires him. He's gutless if he brings him back.
yep.
That is the Stugatz position. It is the position where Stugatz always wins. No matter what is being done, you're gutless.
You really like the sculpture.
Have you seen it? You've never
I've seen
been to
your
Marlins
clothes,
Park.
so it makes sense, but...
Whoa. Whoa. Yes! Is that supposed to mean? Jeez. Regular Donna Karen over here with her fancy clothes.
Donna Karen.
Wow.
Donna Karen.
Wow.
That's where you go with women's fashion? You went straight to the 90s, Guillermo? You were so unfamiliar with women's fashion.
Okay, Ted, who's a popular women's fashion?
Who would you go to?
I'd
go Donna Karen.
Shoes, Louboutin.
No, we're not talking about clothes.
We're talking about clothes.
Come on, Dan.
Louboutin.
Do you even know?
Give him a second. Give the man
Hold
a
on
second.
a second.
To
He
talk.
doesn't even know.
I'm
Vera
more
Perry
shoes
Ellis
than I
over
am
here.
Who'd you
than,
just say?
than
What was her
fashion.
name?
Louboutin is the shoe. It's the expensive shoe.
Louboutin.
He even said it right.
This is the Dan Levatar Show with the Stugatz on the ticket.
All right, so you want to leave it to the audience? If I could secure an interview with Mike Francesa, would they want that? I mean, just me and Mike, just shooting the breeze.
No, I don't want to leave it
Couple
to
of
the
sports
audience
radio
because
vets just talking shop.
No, because for 10 years you guys have figured out around here that things are funnier if they bother me.
Right.
This has been a thing for 10 years now.
So the audience will vote yes.
Yes, they'll vote for Francesa just because I don't want it.
You see who you had on the show yesterday, Francesa? Jeets.
Yeah,
oh,
he
my
did.
God, just lobbing up softball after
He
softball. Here was one of his questions, Dan. What was your favorite season? That's one of the questions that he asked Derek Jeter. When's he going to come on this show, just out of curiosity, Derek Jeter? He wants to get in touch with his market so much. Come on our show. The show of the people. Come on this show, Jeets.
Would you want to do that interview, Jeter? Would you do the John Oliver interview with Jeter, where you lob from? Like, I'll be asking him, hey, Derek, what was your favorite season? And then you'll be coming in off the top rope with the hard question.
I have to be honest with you. So I heard 2 Derek Jeter interviews because I want to be informed. I heard him on Francesa yesterday.
No, wait a minute.
And then
it's not because you want to be informed. It's because you're roaming the earth looking for places to hate.
Yep.
It's not because you're informed. You're looking for things for him to do that are going to bother you.
Well, I need more material because I'm running out. But I listened to him on Francesa, and I heard him on the Marlins Hot Stove show, which, I like Kyle Seeloff, but some of the questions are Kyle Seesoff, if you know what I mean. Not the best questions. Have you settled into an office routine? Not a great question. Come on. We have pressing issues. You know what I mean? Anyway, so I'd like for him to come on his show like this. And by the way, listening to him, I want to... Part of me wants to give him a chance. I want him to, do the things that he's saying he's going to do. Like, I want the Marlins to be good deep down. I want this whole turnaround to happen. I don't see it happening. I don't see it happening the way he's saying it's going to happen.
Well, but the thing is, the argument that you can make, it's why baseball is okay with giving Derek Jeter a team and doing this again to the South Florida market. The argument that you can make is that Cleveland didn't do that spending. Kansas City didn't do that spending. There are ways to win that don't have the Cubs supplemented with spending, but their core was things that they did with the minor leaguers. And maybe Jeter will be willing to spend when they're close enough to acquire a Hayward or a John Lester. Houston didn't do it with spending.
No, they did it with guys coming through their farm system, Altuve and Correa, both those guys.
Who was the big Astro free agent acquisition? Like, one of those pitchers was mad. I mean, they got Verlander, which was important, clearly.
Right, but that was for the stretch run.
I know, but one of their pitchers was mad. I don't remember which one. Keuchel, I guess, was mad because before they acquired Verlander, he's like, why won't management get us any help? He was like publicly saying that because the Astros... I mean, that's the argument, Guillermo. I know it feels like a pipe dream, but the Astros lost 105 games and 111 games a few years ago.
Right, but you're asking the Marlins. What the Astros did was phenomenal. To hit on Altuve, Correa, and Springer, and to have those guys come up through their system, then that is difficult.
But Stugotz, they hit on Stanton, Yelich, and Ozuna.
That's fair. You're right. That's totally fair, what you just said, yes. I mean, I don't know if those guys are as good as the 3 guys I just laid out. I mean, those are 3 of the top 15, 20 players in baseball.
I mean, and Stanton's the best one in the league.
Correct.
Well, that's part of the frustrating thing is that you hit on those 3 guys, you did nothing with them, and now you're hoping you hit again in the future. Like, you're hoping on a trade for Giancarlo Stanton that you find a Giancarlo Stanton, which you already found, that now you're getting rid of because you can't afford him.
Well, but they found it before with Cabrera.
And they did nothing. Well, I guess
they won a title.
The World Series with him his rookie year.
No, that South Florida wastes talents. I'm not going to dispute that. That Stan, you're talking about in Stanton and Cabrera, the Marlins are going to have the indignity of trading away the two generations of modern day Ruths.
Right.
Like the Marlins are going to have the indignity of the late 1990s, early 2000. I guess it'd be early 2000s. Babe Ruth, you traded him.
Yep.
And the late, as you're heading into the second decade of the century, you're 2017, you're trading the modern day Ruth now. I mean, I guess Aaron Judge would be in the conversation too, but whatever. Like the idea that the Marlins would groom 2 of those, I understand how Jeter is going in there making the argument, especially fresh off this World Series. I could rebuild it on the cheap. Now, I understand why you don't believe it. And I understand all the betrayal in this market that has led to you guys thinking the worst of every single owner. But, man, Guillermo, you haven't given him any kind of chance. Not any kind of chance.
But what has he done for me to give him a chance? Like, why? But I don't think that I need to give Derek Jeter a chance and just believe that he's going to be different because his name's Derek Jeter, which is what everyone wants me to do.
He needs to prove it to you.
Exactly. And the first moves that he did, he's already, crapping on the fan base. So why should I give him the benefit of the doubt? I don't think he's earned that. And I don't think anyone coming in has earned that. And I don't think that this fan base should just blindly be giving people the benefit of the doubt.
You know what, though? And what you're saying is fair, but that's where the disconnect is. Because any other market in America that Jeter goes to, he's given the benefit of the doubt. This market is poisoned because of benefit of the doubt that's been given to previous owners before Jeter that has been betrayed.
I thought he'd get the benefit of the doubt merely not because his name is Derek Jeter, because his name is not Jeffrey Loria.
I thought so too, man, but Guillermo turned on him so damn fast.
Well, he came in and he became Jeffrey Loria. Cheaper Loria.
Yeah.
Poria.
Poria?
Yeah, poor Loria. Poria.
Jeffrey Poria.
You can use that.
Thank you.
Your first one was better. Whatever you called the
I will not ever use that. I assure you that you can have $1,000 every time in the rest of my life I use that.
I'm going to hold you to that because this is going to catch on. Big mistake by you.
God, we got to get him to use it. We have to get him to use it.
I would argue that the big mistake was by you.
Big mistake was by Major League Baseball giving him this team for nothing, please.
What are we really complaining about that he's done so far?
Everything.
Other than Rich Waltz. He got rid of Rich Waltz. I don't like that. And he might have fired somebody who was sick. Like, about that whole story.
The guy was definitely sick. The guy was definitely sick.
You guys left out the luminaries.
Wait, hold.
Get out. That's what I'm talking about.
Into that yet.
We're not mad about that. Marlins fan, that's Billy. Marlins fans don't care about Jeff Conine.
No,
they don't care about
be.
Tony Perez.
They should,
I'm not
though.
mad about the luminaries.
You're not a Marlins fan.
Nobody cares but Billy about that.
It's not true.
It was always
Tony
weird.
Perez was just eating a Caesar salad in that owner's box.
So disrespectful. That guy's a Hall of Famer.
Just because he was born here, I'm supposed to believe Andre Dawson's this great Marlin.
Seriously.
Hall of Famer.
Get out of here with these luminaries.
Oh, you guys are idiots.
Not might have been sick. Was fired in the hospital while recovering from colon cancer and needing a kidney.
Double sick.
They fired.
Worse. Yeah.
That's terrible.
They fired that Scott.
I would like more details on
No, but
that.
hold on a second. I because broadcasters
Had someone do it for him, by the way.
And then blamed Michael Hill. No, that was a Michael Hill move. Yeah. And he's preaching that he needs accountability in this first-class organization. Just hollow words. None of them mean anything.
I will concede to you guys that the public relations of this, which should have been the easy part for Jeter, public relations should have been the easy part of this job, that he has not done that part of the job well because he is just learning, and I understand that he's going to learn and stumble around in public because he has no experience with this.
He's not even going to the winter meetings, man.
What is that?
Hold on. Will you stop for a second? Can I get to what my point is before you guys continue to interrupt it with new criticisms of Derek Jeter? Where are you going, Chris? Please go back to your seat because you're my only ally on this. You actually care about the Marlins. And so does Guillermo, but Guillermo is off on the extremes of the spectrum.
He's on the right side.
Nobody else in this room, I feel like. Roy would be third place on people who have a right to complain about this stuff, and I feel like Guillermo's been getting all the mic time because, admittedly, it's funny, him railing against.
And accurate. You're out of touch. I talked to Marlins fans. I talked to one this Sunday at the Dolphins game. He told me something I can't repeat on the air, but it was along the lines of what I was saying.
All right, Chris is also a Marlins fan, though. And
he's out of touch. He's a fake fan, please. Pretending to be an FAU fan, Lane. He didn't even know they were good.
How is he a... Wait. What did you just do?
Just go finish your point.
Thank you, Guillermo. I appreciate that.
Is there a point?
I was asking about Chris's allegiances to the Marlins, and for some reason, Guillermo said he's a fake FAU fan, Lane Train. He didn't even know they were good. Why? Because Guillermo's unhinged and unreasonable. Like, he is so crazed right now that he is just taking out everybody in a whirling dervish, windmill chopping evil spew of takery.
Of facts.
So, Chris and Roy, how do you feel about what has happened here with Derek Jeter and the Marlins?
I was completely good with them all the way up until the Rich Waltz thing and the firing of someone who's sick. Those are the only two things he's done wrong for me. Everything else, like, give him a chance. Like, let them play half a season, 1 month of games. Like, this is ridiculous that we're crushing him already.
I haven't liked what he's done so far.
Thank you. Roy's on my side.
Hasn't done anything.
He hasn't done anything as an executive for him to be doing these moves. So
You're gonna miss Jeff Conine, are you?
I am.
Niner.
He's a luminary.
Wait a minute. It appears that Roy has boxed you in, Chris, because I liked your argument of, are you going to miss Jeff Conine? But what do you do when he thunders back at you with, I am?
Deal with it.
Still got Minervini, man.
So is this a no on Francesa?
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugatz on the ticket.
I want to get to what the Marlins are doing to Giancarlo Stanton, which is torturing him through his friends. They just sent D. Gordon across the country and put him in a position he doesn't play.
Yep.
And that's the starting point. D. Gordon is now the center fielder for the Mariners. He's a Gold Glove caliber second baseman.
Mm-hmm.
And they just traded him to the other side of the country and moved him out of position. And they're yelling at Stanton. Jeter's yelling at Stanton. And Ozuna's next.
No, he's having someone else yell at Stanton.
Exactly.
What a bad trade. I'm so down on it. I'm so down on them because here's the thing. They're not getting anyone back. So this is just a salary dump. They're not trying to rebuild.
Well, they spent $1 million in international money. They gave $1 million in international money to the Mariners
so that they can sign someone. Okay, people are saying they got their number one pitcher back. Have you seen what they've said about this guy? He might be their number one pitcher and their number two prospect. He has a good arm, low ceiling, no breaking ball. It's salary relief. He's projected to be a number 4 starter. So you're not rebuilding. You're just dumping salary. This is all a sham. It's all a sham.
Those are just words, though. He could totally turn out to be good. He's obviously been evaluated by Jeter and his staff.
But that is the scam portion of this, that they can make the argument on behalf of anybody using that logic.
Yeah, hope. But I don't trust them. Why should I trust them? I'm reading people who evaluate this guy and say he has a low ceiling. It's a salary dump. They're just dumping salary. They're not trying to get better. You can't rebuild if you get rid of your best players and you don't get prospects back. That's the problem. If you get rid of your best players, get good prospects back so you can rebuild the team. If you're not getting good prospects back and you're just dumping money, you can't rebuild the team, and it's the same cycle.
Everybody, you're right, but everyone knows that they have to dump money. And so everyone knows that they can get Gordon and Yelich and Ozuna cheap.
But eat some of that money, waste some of that money now, and get better prospects. That's what they did with Adaney last year. They didn't want to give him money, and they got worse prospects. Eat some of this money now and get better prospects. Instead, they'd rather just get rid of all the money and get crappy prospects back. And you can't rebuild that way.
You're right. Everything you're saying is right. They are cleaning house, though. They are trying to strip it down to bare bones. Stanton's not helping them and doesn't need to. He is contractually not obligated to help them in any way, but they do need his help in order to do what they're trying to do, which is just strip it down from the money first, worry about the prospects later. Their first order of business is strip down the money.
Well, why can't you strip down the money and get good prospects back?
Because everyone knows that these guys are all in play and there's not a feeding frenzy for them.
But that's on them for coming in with a message that they came in with.
Wait a minute. Slow down for a second, okay? Slow down for a second on your criticism on this front. When they do it with Yelich and Ozuna, okay, valuable and more Yelich, then I understand your anger, because Yelich is a proven talent who is on a relatively affordable contract that people will fight for, and you will have a bidding frenzy. If they don't get prospects there, that's one thing. But D. Gordon, you can't trust him. His next suspension is going to be a long one. He's a slap hitter, a single hitter in a game that's turned into nothing but home runs. Everywhere it's home runs. And so D. Gordon does not have the value at his age, does not have the value that a Christian Yelich has. Yeah. And age and contract, because I think Gordon makes more than Yelich, and I think he makes twice as much as Yelich, and he's not worth as much as Yelich.
Well, he's owed $37 million on his salary. I mean, he hit 308, 60 steals, 114,
that's all fine,
114 runs.
No, wait, that's all well and fine. What?
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugatz on the ticket.
Okay, Guillermo, let's get back into this trading of D. Gordon thing, because while I know that D. Gordon is popular, fan favorite, that's a fun style of play, you can't argue with what I'm saying, which is in today's league, it's just all home runs or nothing. The singles hitter, even if he steals bases, baseball, they're not playing baseball a base at a time anymore.
No, I know he's not going to get number one prospects, but what I'm saying, and you get rid of his money, what I'm saying is we have enough for number 4 starters. Like, We have plenty of those. That's not what we need to rebuild.
But I believe it's fair for you to say that D. Gordon was a salary dump, but I also believe it's fair for me to say that D. Gordon, you're only getting rid of him in today's baseball as a salary dump. Any team in the sport, like that's not what teams want anymore.
You mean his style of play is not as valuable as it once was?
It's not.
It's like the center of the NBA.
The whole game has changed so much.
Or the running back.
It's even more. It's not even that. Everything in baseball is power hitters. And what I'm telling you is what they got back in his package is about as good as they were going to do, period. Where someone takes the entire salary, takes a singles hitter from you, and gives you their best prospect. Even if the best prospect isn't good, you're not going to do a lot better than that.
But I don't disagree with that. What I'm saying is if you need to rebuild an organization, eat some of the money and do better. If you want to get rid of all the contract, then you have to get these crap players back.
But wait a minute. You think that if they had said, we will pay half of D. Gordon's salary, that they would have gotten something better from Seattle than their best prospect?
No. They could have gone to another team. They could have. You don't think if they take half that salary, $10 million, whatever it is, they could have gotten better than a number 4?
Guillermo, I understand why you love D. Gordon. I love D. Gordon. Love watching him play. Baseball's not exciting. He's exciting. He's a great defensive player, and I love to see him on the bases. In today's sport, I don't know how much more you're going to get for that salary than the prospects that you got from Seattle. I'm telling you that the one to watch is Yelich.
Right.
Yelich is the one to watch because he's young and cheap and he's talented and you got him locked up on a good contract. That's the guy you get the good prospects for.
They should get a lot back from him. I guess to your point, like George Springer is the leadoff hitter for the Astros. That guy's hitting like 25, 35 homers a year.
Right, Altuve is hitting. That's not the way the game's being played anymore. D. Gordon is a dinosaur. He's Juan Pierre. And that's not, and he's, his average is better, but that's not how we're playing anymore.
And he's fairly self-aware about it, considering he's one more suspension from a very lengthy absence.
That's the other thing. That's the other thing. If he gets tempted to keep up in the game, how long's he gone for? Because the last time, did he get 50 games or did he get 80? He got 80, didn't he?
Yeah. It's 80, then a full season, and then...
That's the other thing. Like, he got into the big leagues at he was telling us about how he was 165 in the minor leagues and didn't think he was going to get to the big leagues. Like, that's exactly the kind of guy that uses steroids. Of course. Because he's right on the fringes and steroids gets him the contract. But this isn't the one to get mad about, Guillermo. I'm telling you, Stanton.
This is laying the groundwork for what I can see being a recurring pattern, which is what always happens. Just get rid of the money and then figure it out. And you can't do anything when you don't have prospects and you have money except keep the money. Because you can't go. They're not going to get free agents with the way they're treating players. They're not going to outspend people when they want to have low payrolls. So this is just getting rid of money to get rid of money. They're not getting prospects. You can't rebuild if you're not getting prospects back.
All of it's frustrating, right? It's just like, I agree with you. This isn't the biggest deal in the world, whatever you got back for D. Gordon, and that D. Gordon's no longer there. It's just since he's taken over the team, Derek Jeter, there hasn't been anything positive.
But they just want
name a single positive thing. There hasn't been one.
They want this blind faith and this blind trust to rebuild because they know what they're doing. And this is a job, and it's not fair. It's a job he's never had before. It's a job that you can't expect him to know what he's doing. And the person that's helping him out with this is the person that made this system flawed to begin with. Like, we have these bad prospects because of deals made by Michael Hill. And he's the one that Jeter's relying on. And Jeter's never done this before, so it's not fair to expect him to know what he's doing.
It's also not fair to just think he doesn't know what he's doing. Like, it's equally unfair what you're doing.
I think you guys are off on the extremes because Chris and Billy have been arguing about this for a while. And Chris is like, will you give him some benefit of the doubt? Will you hope? Will you please give him some? And Guillermo's like, no, never again. I've been betrayed enough on this front, and this is a recurring theme, and this is the same thing that they've always done. I do think, though, that they lose you, Guillermo, the moment that he walks through the door. If he says slash payroll, there's next to nothing he's saying after that's winning you over. Next to nothing.
But here's the thing. I've accepted that all these players are going to be gone. Whether they trade Stanton or not, even if they don't get rid of Yelich this year or Ozuna this year, next year they're going to be gone because they're not going to rebuild a team with 2 players. So they're going to get rid of all these people. At this point, if you're getting rid of all these people, do whatever you can to get the most back for them. Don't worry about money. That's all I ever hear from this organization is money, 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 money,
well,
money.
Here's what happened. Here is what happened. What happened is Derek Jeter doesn't know what he's doing. Because why would he? I don't even mean this as an indictment of Derek Jeter. He just has no experience with running a team. If I were in that position right now, I would flail and fail worse. He's got no experience with the running of a team. But The error that's been made here, and this is the part that's infuriating if you're Miami and you're a Miami fan. The error that's been made here is that because he doesn't know what he's doing, he overspent on that team to get into baseball. And now he can't afford anything because they know they spent too much money on that team. They know it, and they know it now. They didn't know it then. They know it now. They spent too much, and they don't have the money to cover because they came in real high. That franchise getting $1.1 billion because there was another competitor. He was Cuban. He's in Miami. He's saying in the newspapers that he might spend. Hell, for all I know, he's created by David Sampson as a hologram just to rise the price up on Derek Jeter. Wait a minute. A Cuban Miamian is willing to spend? What is the chief rival that we could get to Derek Jeter? Seriously.
Seems too
and
good
they
to be
just
true.
rose the price to the roof like the stadium or not. Like, we don't understand the business or the math. They spent too much money for that team.
That was a really great negotiating tactic, sitting Moss next to Loria during the All-Star game.
Right?
Fantastic.
Like,
yes.
that's exactly what happened there. They kept rising the price up. And Moss is sitting with Loria during the All-Star game, sitting next to him. Man, get Moss on the phone for me. He got used. That dude got used. That was a prop. That guy was a prop. Derek Jeter was always going to get this team. And he was always going to overspend $1.1 billion for it. And now everyone's suffering. Now everyone's suffering because he realized he overspent.
And then we're being blindly told, well, give him a chance. Why should I give him just because of his name? If his name was not Derek Jeter and this was just Joe Blow who bought the team and has done all this stuff, who would trust him? No one. It's just that his name is Derek Jeter, and that means nothing to me. Nothing. And I don't need the commissioner telling me to trust Derek Jeter because his name's Derek Jeter. I don't care what Rob Manfred says either.
Right. I don't care about Rob Manfred. I believe that Moss's name in Spanish is actually translated to Joe Blow.
No. It's more.
Yeah.
It'd be Jorge.
Yeah. George
No,
Moore.
I was making a joke. I know that Moss is more. I was making the joke. What?
We just want you to make a funny one. That's a fine. Wrong name. No Moss.
Yeah. I think I'm going to have to give control back over the Hakeem Nick's laugh to Mike. I haven't been doing it right.
This is the Dan Levatar Show with the Stuckats on the ticket.
I realized walking in today that something interesting has happened with this Marlins sale. Do you think that Derek Jeter had a conversation with Bruce Sherman? I don't know what the number was.
Is it a conversation with anyone?
I don't. You came to the microphone so fast there, and I'm so scarred from yesterday that I thought I got Bruce Sherman's name wrong.
You good?
Like, I'm so scared right now of everybody's name. I'm going to start. You know what I'm going to try and do? I'm going to try and speak today in pronouns. I'm going to see if I can avoid names just altogether.
What are those?
Do you think that Bruce Sherman and Derek Jeter had a conversation about, hey, you know how Goodell for the NFL is a meat shield for all the crud? I'm going to traffic in your image. Your image is going to get me into baseball. Your pristine unicorn image is going to get me into baseball. And then Jeter's like, it's going to be $5 million a year because of the beating I'm going to take to my integrity at the very beginning. I haven't had a stain on my resume in New York of unpopularity for however many years. So if you want me to take the beating, because I want to know how it is that Bruce Sherman's not getting dragged on all this. I want to call his office every day. I want to call his office every day until he talks to us because he's using Jeter as a meat shield. Criticizing Jeter all the time is like criticizing the Williams sisters for owning the Dolphins. I'm dead serious.
Yeah,
Jeter's just this guy. He's just this face who's just wandering around taking the beating, but he's not in charge of stripping down the plan to get the amount of money right.
No, but if Venus and Serena were in charge of football operations, then you would be giving more criticism to Venus and Serena.
This is happening because of Bruce Sherman. Bruce Sherman, I don't know what the relationship is between Jeter and Bruce Sherman. I don't know if Sherman is one of these New York guys who just wants to be boys with Jeter because he's got a bunch of money that he made in Wall Street. And he just wants to hang out with Jeter and want to be a baseball owner. I don't know anything about him, but I'd like to talk to him. And I'd like to harass his office until we talk to him.
I think he's from Naples. I think he's a Florida guy, and he wanted to buy this for his family. The only thing I heard Bruce Sherman ever say was in that first press conference, and he was, thanking his grandkids and saying happy birthday to people. And I'm like, this guy's kind of goofy. We're never going to see him again.
Mike, can we call Bruce Sherman's office, right now on the air, and I will tell the secretary as we call her, the administrative assistant, wherever it is that Bruce Sherman takes calls, I will tell her that she's on the air, and I want to start calling Bruce Sherman every day on the air until he comes on with us.
And it doesn't work like you can't just say, "Hi, you're on the air," and
no, I'm not going to do it like that. No, I am saying that you get her on the phone, and I start the conversation. As soon as she says hello, Bruce Sherman's office, I explain to her specifically. You are on the radio right now.
Yeah,
if you don't want,
that's not how it works.
What do you mean that's not how it works?
Legally, it's not how you do it, legally speaking.
Legally, according to whom? Let the FBI raid the place. What do you mean?
The FCC.
Legally, according to...
raid the place?
What are you talking about, legally? I can't call somebody?
No, you can't do it that way. You can't spring, "Hi, you're live on the air."
What are the FCC rules?
You can't do that.
Well, tell us.
What are the penalties?
Tell us the way to do it. Like, do you call and say, "Hey, I'm going to put you on the phone with two gentlemen who are on the air"?
Yeah, you have to say hi. You have to identify yourself and your corporate entity, and you say, "We would like to bring you on the air," and you have to give them the opportunity to accept or decline. You can't just put somebody on the air that doesn't want to be on the air.
And or he or she is going to decline.
Hold on. How about this? This is something they can't control. We don't have to put them on the air. You could put me on the air with a telephone, not hearing the person's voice, and you'll just hear my end of the conversation.
Yeah, we can do that.
All right, let's do that then.
Okay.
All right.
Get me Bruce Sherman's telephone number and how it is that I could go about calling him.
Right, there's that.
I love this. This is great.
I mean, yes, let's do. I want to talk to this person. Like, how's he escaping all of this?
Because he has Jeter. That's it.
Guillermo, can you look up for me what the amount of money was that they had to borrow? I know they were getting all sorts of trouble with their loans. What was the amount of money they had to borrow to buy this team? Because I think one of the great things that's being missed here, Stugatz, is how much Jeter overspent for this team. The reason this happened, okay? The reason this happened, and Moss, the other owner, had big plans for the community, for the baseball team. He actually cares about Miami, unlike Sherman and Jeter. And Moss came in at a little under the $900 million because that's where they put the overpriced value. They put the overpriced value, the worth of the franchise, on about $850 to $875. Right. And Jeter bought it for $1.1 billion, and he didn't have $1.1 billion. And that loan, I believe, is the difference between those two numbers. And the reason this is happening, Jeter wanted the team so badly that he had a plan with baseball, to get the team, and Jeter had to explain to them how it is that $1.1 billion was going to work. So baseball signed off on Stanton. They signed off on, Jeter, you can have that team, and we understand you're bleeping South Florida again.
Right.
Do you understand the details on how that happened?
Yeah, of course. Major League Baseball kind of knew, just based on the price of the team, Major League Baseball knew what Derek Jeter was going to have to do once he took over the team.
Not just based on the price. In words.
In words, yes.
Not on the.
Here's my plan for the Miami Marlins.
It's like, Jeter, how are you doing this? Explain to us. Well, here's what I'll do. I'll trade Stanton. I need to get rid of some of these contracts. I'll strip it down again. And baseball signed off on all of that. Because this isn't a surprise to baseball what Jeter did. Baseball's helping Jeter. Baseball's helping Jeter figure this out the same way they helped Loria figure it out at the very beginning when he bought him for $10 million and they just gave him all sorts of money.
Right.
That he parlayed in. But I'd like to know the amount of money that Jeter had to get in a loan because he was having trouble securing these loans because the banks knew that this wasn't the price for this organization. And so Jeter's first order of business was to spend so much and too much on what he was buying in such a way that South Florida is the one who's going to cover the costs for him. Get the hell out of here, man.
I'm trying to find out this information. Bruce Sherman himself put up close to $400 million.
Yeah, and that's close to the loan that I've seen reported. I've seen between $300 and $400 million.
They paid $800 in cash. Yeah. $90 million came from a preferred fund founded by Michael Dell.
I'm telling
and then they assumed $400 million in debt. $100 million assumed, $300 being reworked.
I'm telling you, I am as bothered. I'm more bothered. Jeter's an easy face. He's put his voice and face on this.
Right.
I'm vastly more bothered by what baseball did. Because baseball has endured all of this history with Miami. Baseball knows how hard it was to get all this stuff down here. Baseball knows that stadium saved baseball in Miami as they did those crock things of talking about moving the team to San Antonio and Las Vegas. And now we get into this situation where we had the right owner. Moss would have been a swashbuckling Cuban owner who would have been caring about Miami and caring about spilling money over the bar because the money wasn't the issue to him. He cares about Miami.
Well, to be fair, we don't know that exactly. We know what he was saying, and that gets you popular. And now he has the benefit of saying, I wouldn't have done this because he's not the guy. However, Moss and his brother, the Moss family, are saving MLS soccer in Miami because Beckham just had a big-time billionaire investor bail out in the 11th hour, and the Moss has slipped right in there.
That's the guy I'd like to get on the show is Moss. I'd like to get him on the show.
We're trying.
To find out if he's real.
No, he is real. I got a message from him yesterday.
You did?
You got a message from Moss?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Do you have a contact?
I do.
Well, let's get him on.
Let's go. I've been working other people. Yeah, let's go. Let's go for it.
What are you waiting for? Want to give that number to me? I'll take care of it.
No, because I just got, it was actually funny. I got a text message that was a number I didn't recognize, and then it just said the hologram.
Really?
Because I accused him of being a hologram who was used in negotiations by Loria and Sampson as they sat him down at the All-Star game next to Loria just to scare up the price on Jeter.
So we're still not entirely sure this is Moss.
No, it's him.
All right.
There was an answer to that.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't just, I didn't just get like the hologram and then like, okay, this is Moss. I'm not. So, but I want to talk to Sherman. I don't want to talk to Moss.
Well, we can talk to both, right?
Yesterday you wanted to talk to Moss, so no Moss?
I want to talk to Sherman first. No Moss for now.
All right.
And how are we doing this? Did you guys round up a number for Sherman's office?
Allison's working on it. She's made like 3 calls in the last minute.
All right. We'll see if we call Bruce Sherman. Smoke out Bruce Sherman next.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stuckats on the ticket.
Texter writes, and you guys are making it seem like Moss would be your savior. He'd be in the same position, only without Jeter. Maybe. I'd like to find out more about that. I don't know that for sure. I don't know the finances of this enough. The reason that my outrage has crept in the last couple of days is because I hadn't realized the number of details I missed here, Stugatz, on the gifting of this baseball team to him, because when he came down and stripped it down, the first announcement that they were going to strip it down again was a surprise to me. And so I didn't understand the finances. I didn't understand that the starting point on this is baseball helping Derek Jeter to increase the marketplace price. Baseball helped Derek Jeter get to an amount of money that he couldn't get to with him or his investors. Like, I had a suspicion of that when those reports came out that the Bush thing fell apart, that Jeter was looking for partners all over the place.
Right.
But we are pounding Jeter on something. He's got a 4% interest in the baseball team. It's a 4%. He bought in for a 2% interest.
Right.
He's making all that money back in salary.
Sure, but he's the guy making the decisions. So he is the guy, right? He's front and center. He's in charge of baseball operations.
I know,
he's making these decisions.
But he's not making the decisions on whether or not, like, the decision he's making is on how to get it down to a number that Sherman finds palatable. Sherman's the one who needs the number to get down.
Right.
Because Sherman's the one with the major stake in the team.
We're going to speak to David Sampson tomorrow during the local hour. We might get an interesting perspective.
I got a lot of questions, man.
However, he'll probably toe the line that's just the Marlins were losing money, and you got to keep asking yourself. It just doesn't make sense.
Why and how?
So they're losing $400 million, yet all these big-time investors that are good with money just can't wait to overspend on this product that's always losing money.
Why and how?
Well, I don't know if you factor in owning the stadium and the surrounding property there, Mike.
Yes, of course you do. Of course you do.
Right, but I'm saying, I don't know, does that go on the P&L when they say they're losing on an annual basis $400 million, whatever it is?
Well, they co-own, yeah.
Right, but when he goes to sell the team again at some point, and he will sell the team again at some point, he gets to sell all that land. That's probably equally as attractive to him than owning the baseball team.
There are a lot of purchases in South Florida going on right now where people are buying things they don't want or need for the land. That would not be a place. That would not be one of the places that you would imagine that would be valuable, hugely valuable Miami property. There's you saw where the Miami Herald building is on the bay, right? You remember where it was on the bridge on the bay? That space has been empty for a long time because somebody from China keeps waiting for gambling to get allowed here so they can put a casino there. Like, it's just empty land. They're not doing anything with this land that's worth, I don't know how many, hell, that land kept the Miami Herald as a functioning business property while everything else leaked money. That land was protecting and saving the Miami Herald. That's why they sold it. They sold it to get all of the cash influx from that land. But I don't know enough about business, and that land near the Orange Bowl doesn't seem like it'd be very, very valuable.
Also, I could see where that would be more important if this were an antiquated stadium, but it's a brand new stadium. You're talking several decades in advance where you're talking tear down and then the land's just valuable.
Right. I'd just be curious. There are a number of things here that have piqued my curiosity, but one of them, and the reason I got to the state that I got to yesterday and I'm still sort of here, is because the New York Yankees just pulled off the ridiculous sports radio trade. Every guy who calls a sports radio show is like, yeah, I'd like to get LeBron for Winslow and a second-round pick. You think we could do that?
Right.
The Yankees just pulled that trade off. Castro's a bum, dude.
Yes.
Castro's a bum.
Yes. You're right. It's funny that you said that. It's one of those trades where someone calls Mike Francesa and says, hey, Castro and a couple of minor leagers for Stanton, and he hangs up on him.
That's right.
Yes.
It's like, what are you talking about? Stanton's going to cost something. And furthermore, the Marlins will pay some of the contract. Like, what? It's such an egregiously bad trade, as if Stanton doesn't have value. And it's like, what the hell are you talking about? That contract is enormous. It's the largest in the history of the sport. But what's remaining on that contract, if Giancarlo Stanton became a free agent today, that's what the Yankees would spend to get him.
Of course, yes.
I'm enjoying from afar watching Derek Jeter experience negative press coverage for the first time in his life, and he appears to not be doing great with it. I heard this quote the other day where he was defending what they got back in the trade, and he sort of put it all on Mike Hill because it's his job to do it, so we're supposed to trust that.
Well, what I'd say to that is we have people in place whose jobs are to know about talent. And, I think they would disagree with you. We think we got some good prospects in return, and now it's up to us as an organization to help develop them. So, yes, you're right. It's the National League most valuable player. I don't care what prospect you get back. It won't be, household names for a fan base. But, we have a talented group in the front office and the baseball operations
No, you don't.
side.
No, you don't.
I have a lot of confidence in the prospects that we got in return.
What's he going to say there?
No, I actually believe that he believes and they believe in the lower tier prospects, but you have to. If for nothing else other than public relations, you have to get the best prospects in their organization. Like, that's not unreasonable. And the Yankees would be happy with that, too, incidentally. Yankee fans would be thrilled if they got Stanton for the 2 or 3 biggest names in their farm system.
Right. Stanton's supposed to be a guy that could fix your farm system, right? You trade Stanton at 20, and he could fix it. Yes. I mean, the Yankees made a couple of deals, deadline deals. I think Miller was one, and maybe Chapman was another, and it fixed their farm system completely.
He's of the age that it is Trout, Harper, Stanton. That's the order. Trout, Harper, Stanton, in terms of people in that sport that you're ready to pay because of the age that they are.
Right.
They're in their prime. Those guys even younger than he is.
Mm-hmm.
The Stanton contract, by the way, being the largest in the sport is a bit of a mirage, though, because it's spaced out over 13 years. So he's only getting like $25 million a year when you actually break it down to 13 years. So it's not like he's the highest paid player in baseball. The most he's going to get in a year is $32 million. And that's in like 2023, 2024. So even then, that's not going to be the highest salary in baseball.
Mm-hmm. I'm saying that this is the part that got me from curious to pissed off was what they got. Because Stugotz, to me, it's not irrelevant. They didn't have to trade him this minute.
Right.
You could wait to get something better than that. They wanted to purge themselves of what they thought was a Stanton problem. And I'm like, you're looking at that all wrong. Like, it's not a Stanton problem. Stanton has value. People will want that. You could play half a season and a contender's going to want to add that to their lineup. The Boston Red Sox are going to be chasing a title, and they're going to want to add that. And if you have, over the course of that time, built a relationship with Stanton, you might be able to send him or convince him to go somewhere else. Boston he wouldn't go to, because I think for some of the same reasons he won't go to St. Louis.
Well, if you did it right from the start in terms of building a relationship with Stanton, you could get Stanton to say, hey, we're putting this out there because we want to get a better offer from the Yankees. So just go with it.
Right.
Don't say anything.
Correct.
Right. Like, don't tell the world that you don't want the Cardinals trade.
Correct.
Don't do that.
You do to baseball. This is what's funny. This is what's funny about what happened with this trade. You do to baseball what the Marlins did to you by inventing Moss. They got the price up.
Right.
They suckered you. Do the same thing. Like, get the price up. What they got for Stanton, it's egregious and offensive because they treated it as something. Do you remember? They treated it as we want to staple Stanton. It's as if it's just a step short of Yankees. You want Ozuna? You got to take Stanton too. Like, they gave him away.
They did.
I think the worst part of that conference call was Jeter saying this was the best of the three deals, because that shows he either doesn't know what he's doing at all or he's lying to you. He's lying to you and he thinks that you're dumb, that this is the best deal they could have gotten for Stanton. Because there's no way. The other two deals were better. He just said no to them.
Well, it's the best deal of the team Stanton wanted to go to.
Right. But yeah,
and the only deal.
Who says those deals were better?
Everyone that's seen the prospects, that knows the prospects, has said that those deals are better.
I don't think that's true.
These people just were willing to take more money, which is part of the issue.
People are trying to project these prospects. They're all prospects. The Yankees have good prospects. Like, you're saying it like it's fact.
The Yankees do have good prospects. That's true. I'm not saying that the two young guys that they got aren't any good. I'm saying how offensive it is that they're telling us what you get for Stanton. You'll see it in about 3 or 4 years. Like, they're such low they're high prospects, but they're so low down. Yeah, of course. One of them might turn out to be the next Giancarlo Stanton. Once upon a time, Mike Stanton was a nobody. And many people in South Florida wanted to trade him for Manny Ramirez, for a month of Manny Ramirez.
I did.
The Marlins said no to that.
Still should have done that.
But Stanton was close to big league ready. These guys are not anywhere close to big league ready. And Starling Castro, like the Cubs, before they started winning, the Cubs were like, please, dear God, let's get him out of here. Like, we don't want this person in our clubhouse.
Maybe it's just as simple as they don't believe that this is the real Giancarlo Stanton. And they don't want to wait half a season for him to revert back to what we had the past couple years of him. And they figure this is the highest he's going to be. Let's move him now.
Okay, you know what's fair about that, though? And I'd be totally down with that. This is as high he's going to be. Prove it to me by coming back with something that looks like it was as high as it's going to be. Like, yes, you're right about that. His value is at an all-time high. But why did you just trade him as if he doesn't have value?
Well, because he only has one team now.
No, Stugatz, you're wrong about that. He said Los Angeles and New York, and there are 3 teams in those markets. He said Los Angeles and New York. He did not say just the Yankees.
I know, but the other teams, according to all the reports, weren't interested. It ended up just being the Yankees who expressed interest, which is unfortunate because then that's what you needed. You needed leverage. You needed one team against the other.
It doesn't matter who's interested. It only matters who does it look like it's interested. That's how you drive a price up.
Right. Dan, I'm agreeing with you. On the front end, build a relationship with Stanton to a point where you can, hey, I'm going to dangle the Red Sox out there. Don't do anything. We're trying to get the most in return for you. I'm going to get you out of here. We love you, but the finances of this team are messed up. We need to get you out of here, but just work with us. I'm saying, Dan, but the way they went about it, it's their fault, but they were handcuffed.
Stugatz, why are the finances of this team screwed up when they got their stadium? Like,
I don't have the answers.
No,
for that.
no. I'm not asking. I'm asking you rhetorically. I'm saying, why is the solution always to Sampson and Luria running the business like a business and running it wrong, and running it wrong for the fan, and Jeter and Sherman running it wrong for the fan, and Huizenga running it wrong for the fan? Why is it always that the way to fix that is to bleep the South Florida customer? Why is that always the solution to other people being dip bleeps about how to run a business?
Well, they also are raising ticket prices, which is ridiculous. You're supposed to understand that they're making all these changes, and they want you to pay more for a lesser product.
They don't deserve a person to go to their stadium next year. Not one. Not one. Like, for what? Why? Why would you go to see the other guys?
Yeah. Isn't Stanton coming back?
Yeah, next year they start out with the Cubs, and then April, I think they have the Yankees and the Red Sox coming to town.
Cubbies, big draw. There'll be people there, a lot of people there. Especially if the Marlins go with Palmeiro at first. Roger Clemens is their number one starter.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugatz on the ticket.
Texter writes in, I know it's the local hour, but Stanton is gone. Deal with it.
He's that guy.
I am dealing with it by turning it into content and lining all of our pockets. And I'm dealing with it right now by calling Bruce Sherman's office. I'm going to figure out how to do this on my phone. Bear with me because I don't know what the rules are or how any of this works. And Mike Ryan is just scared right now because of what I'm doing. But I'm going to dial this telephone number right now. And
you have his office number there?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Try not to have their voice unknowingly go over the air.
Right.
Like don't
the person's voice.
Yeah, don't point the receiver towards the microphone.
That's important. Does he need to alert them that he is indeed on a radio?
Hold on, you're not going to hear the person's voice. Hold on a second.
All right. This is
I've reached M4 Capital.
Okay.
And I'm being told to touch pound here. Hold on a second.
All right, you're going to have to go probably through the the company extension list there. First three letters of his last name.
Hello, Chris. This is Dan Le Batard from 790 The Ticket in Miami. I'm on a radio station. We're live on the air. Can I put you on the air or can I not put you on the air? I'm trying to reach Bruce Sherman. But I know he's not available, but can I put you on the air or can I not put you on the air? All right, I can't put you on the air. All right, could you relay a message to him? Can you tell him that Dan Le Batard called and I'd like to talk to him on the radio about using Jeter as a meat shield? Using Jeter as a meat shield. Using Jeter as a meat shield. I'd like to talk to him about that. And I'm going to call you every day I'm going to tell him I'm going to call every day until we talk to him.
Right. So you'll talk to her tomorrow.
Right. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Is that okay?
Does she need you to spell meat shield? M-E-E-T.
Hold on a second. He suggested what? No, I don't want to talk to Derek Jeter. I have no interest in talking to Derek Jeter. I want to talk to Bruce Sherman. I know that that's what he suggested, but I'm going to call every day until I get to talk to Bruce Sherman, okay? That's fine if he suggests I talk to Derek Jeter, but this radio show is going to call you every day until we talk to Bruce Sherman, okay? Or talk to somebody. Like, I'm not putting this on you. I know you didn't do anything. I just want you to relay that message to him. I know you didn't do anything, and you don't have anything to do with this, but just let him know that every day I'm going to be calling until he talks to us, even if it's throughout the entirety of his ownership. Okay? Thank you. Thank you for relaying the message. Thank you.
All right.
That made me uncomfortable.
Yeah. You need to... Maybe I'll call tomorrow because you need to butter her up on the front end for a good 15 minutes.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
All right, you call tomorrow. That's even better.
Okay.
You know, we can play good cop, bad cop. I'll call every day as my guy, and you call every day as your guy.
But I think you're the good cop.
It's important now that I call like I'm calling from a separate show. I have nothing to do with
hold
you.
on. No, don't start throwing scam in
You're
there.
on the ban list.
Hold on. Can you call now? Let's see how much better you do this. Let's do the same thing. Here, I'll make the call for you.
All right.
And you do.
I might not even get around to, on the first call, asking for him. I might just spend the entire time on her and then call back a little bit later.
That's fine. Well, it's going to come from my number, so she's going to recognize it. Just go ahead and do that there.
Okay.
It's the top number on the screen. Don't look at any of the other people I called there. That's intensely private.
Okay. Wow. Whoa. I can't reveal any of these? I mean, whoa. I didn't know you had access.
There's some good ones there.
A little jealous.
Yeah.
This is not the number I want from this phone. Hold on, stop moving.
I'm sorry.
Right.
I'm trying. I don't want you to get all the other numbers. I know I'm on to you. It's taken an awful long time for you to get those numbers down. It took you so long to get those numbers down because you were taking down all the wrong numbers. Can you call it? Were you even taking down Bruce Sherman's number, or were you taking down Barkley's number?
Let me see the phone again. All right, hold on a sec. All right, I got Chuck's right.
Did you?
All right. All right, here we go. I'm calling. What's his name again? Bruce
Sherman.
All right. What was her name?
Chris, she said.
Okay.
Make sure her number doesn't. Make sure her voice, you can't hear, so.
Yeah, you may want to back up a little bit.
You got to press pound.
Are we harassing somebody right now? Is this what we're doing?
Is it harassment?
Well, back-to-back calls. It depends on how good his tone is.
Well, you know he's going to be great.
Yeah, but you were mean.
Hey, Chris, how are you? Oh, that's nice. You having a good morning? I was hoping because I have a thing I'm doing on Mr. Sherman. It's a very positive piece here about Mr. Sherman, about how he saved baseball in Miami.
Yeah,
and so I'm wondering, would it be possible if I can get maybe 10 to 15 minutes? I've heard wonderful things about him. And by the way, I've heard wonderful things about you as well. So I have some friends who mutual friends of Mr. Sherman, and they tell me great things both about you and about him. And so I have this great piece I'm doing about how he saved baseball in Miami and how he really cares about the city. And I was wondering if I could get any sort of access to him. My name is John. Last name is Wiener, Weiner. And that'd be great. I appreciate you asking. Listen, that's all I can ask you to do is go to him and ask. But just please let him know that it's going to be a positive piece on him. Oh, I'm with ESPN.
Yeah, that's good.
My phone number.
All right, go outside.
Okay.
Go outside.
My phone number is 954.
Whoa, too loud.
Now, you guys are made deeply uncomfortable by this. And
yeah, that was I was uncomfortable when you were calling.
Put it on the poll, Guillermo, at Levitar Show. Was that good entertainment or was that uncomfortable? Because you felt bad for her, right? But she didn't do anything.
Exactly why I felt bad.
But you're feeling bad for her when I'm sitting here telling her you didn't do anything. I want to get this. I want to relate.
You
this.
threw that in after your tone was, "I'm going to call you every day." He sounded like Carl Vanden Bosch. I'm going to get him.
I'm going to get him every day. And it's such an empty thread because we were gonna. The thing about our show is that we start things, we beat them into the ground, and then we never do them again. Do you remember Stugatz? Every day for a while, he was whistling. He was going to be whistling or trying to whistle every day for a while, and it lasted like 6 days, and then we wandered away from it.
Yeah, that's more like our positive hijinks.
He should be on in a half hour.
All right. Well, what are we going to do? What are we going to do when he gets here and all of a sudden it's less positive than what it is that you promised? Because we'll
deal with it as it arrives.
Well, then John Wiener starts a conversation and is like, "Hey, I have a partner here in my office."
Right. My part will be positive. You can do whatever you want with your part. Okay. Something like that. But she did say I will. She actually asked for more information. She asked who our mutual friends were.
Yeah, but of course, Stugatz, she's going to ask questions until your lie unravels.
Listen, man.
Who'd you say were your mutual friends?
You guys know
that
who
part
I know.
needs to be quiet.
Okay? Yeah, that part needs to be quiet. Because listen, you guys know I do have mutual friends, right? I always have a mutual friend.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
He's not kidding, though.
No, I'm not.
Pretty sure. No, he swayed me. He pushed me off.
He always has a mutual friend. Guillermo, how did you feel about all that? Because I looked in the other room. I didn't see a whole lot of laughter. I saw just a lot of squirming.
I mean, this is a step above the wacky hijinks of like sending them coal for Christmas and stuff like that. I thought that might be fun, but no.
Well, you want to do that too? Let's do that.
You're going to send coal to Marlins Park?
No, to Bruce Sherman. No,
okay.
I want to smoke this guy out. Like, I'm talking, I want to stop this about being about Jeter.
You literally want to smoke him out with coal?
Yes.
That seems dangerous. Don't say that.
No, not lit coal. Not lit coal. Just coal.
So we're attacking the one that actually put in the money.
Not enough of it.
Yeah, but this
not
is weird.
enough of it.
I'm just trying to follow.
I'd like to stay exactly where we are, where we don't care about him and we're just blaming Jeter. Jeter's never been blamed for anything. Yeah. This is fun,
Neither
man.
is Bruce Sherman.
But
and
who
I'm
cares?
here to do it.
This is where I want to be, man.
Big boy, you want to own a team? Let's go. Play out in public. Let's go. Don't hide in the shadows. Don't give it over to Jeter and then spend the rest of the time counting your money.
It was curious. I think your whole theory just got a lot more validation by the first response. Yeah. Please speak to Derek. Please speak to Derek. He suggests you speak to Derek.
I didn't get that.
No, but I want to smoke this dude out. Like, let's go. What are you going to do? I bet you're just going to be here when it's time for the political proclamations and to have governors sitting next to you at games? Or do you care about the city? And do you care about the people who have funded that stadium? And you care about the people that we're going to spend a season telling not to go to your baseball games and your business because of how it is that you've started this. Welcome to Miami.
Fired up, man.
Yeah, no. Anytime that someone does Miami wrong, Dan gets pretty fired up like this. He's mad.
Guillermo's coming around.
I mean, I thought I was in this alone, and you've taken this to another level.
You really have.
Totally other level.
I don't think he's coming around. I think he's upset.
Usually I just, my anger fades away, and I get distracted by something else. And it seems like we're in this for the long haul.
Wait a minute. Are you guys,
Bill's domain,
man. Are you guys afraid of this? Are you guys afraid of this?
I don't want to come across as we're disrespectful. I think what at the heart of what we're trying to do is good.
Hold on with disrespectful, okay? Because so far, the only people that have been disrespected are the people who paid for that stadium and the people who care about the Marlins. And stop with Bruce Sherman and Derek Jeter.
I was saying Chris, the receptionist.
Disrespected.
She's a sweetheart.
I remember I told you guys this story one time. Ricky Williams came into the studio, came into Highly Questionable, and we did an interview, and he was just saying a lot of things about concussions that were against science, right? So it was an interview that people watched and were like, man, that's you sound loony, you sound a little bit crazy. And so as we're leaving the studio, because I had to push back on him on some questions and stuff. I'm like, man, Rick, that was uncomfortable. Like you're just gonna get scorched. And he just looks at me and he's like, isn't that your job? Like, isn't that your job to make the rich and powerful uncomfortable? Can't really argue with him on that one. So I made you guys uncomfortable, but now let's make this guy uncomfortable. Like, let's make him answer some questions. Answer some questions. Big boy, you're a billionaire. You got in the big leagues. Act like it.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugatz on the ticket.
David Sampson with us here on 790 The Ticket. All right, through the history of movies, give us the movie that would best represent what's going on with the Marlins right now.
That's a good question. That's a good question because that makes him. Yeah, that's a good question. Good. It is a good question.
8 men out.
That was fraud.
8 men out.
Okay.
All right.
Well,
that's about a triple entendre. And that's pretty quick to come up with, given that you didn't prep me with that question,
yes,
too, and that's a good one.
That's a good job by
I want
you.
to ask you some questions now about the Marlins, because some of this, I've been offended by some of what's happened here, which is that the starting point on this is that Derek Jeter overspent for the team and incurred the debt, and the way to solve the debt was just to get rid of Giancarlo Stanton. Can you explain to me, starting here first, why would someone buy a $1.1 billion or $1.2 billion team if they can't afford it and it's losing money?
Well, I think that's a two-part question. There are only 30 teams, so the team is worth what someone will pay for it. So this team is worth $1.2 billion because that's what that group paid for it. The fact is the team was losing money all the years, despite Deadspin be damned. The team lost a lot of money, and everyone came into the deal eyes wide open. What the plan was, trading Stanton, not trading Stanton, I'm not going to disagree that a potential rebuild was necessary given the fact that we couldn't win for all those years. The only question that new owners always ask themselves is, do you want to come in and start a rebuild now, or do you want to wait? And I totally respect whatever decision they're going to make, and that's not me being a company man, because there's some argument to be made that a rebuild certainly is necessary because, as Derek said correctly, we weren't winning. And as Mike Hill tells me, we're not breaking up the 27 Yankees.
Yes, and that's all fine. I don't understand why Mike Hill still works there, but that's all fine. They're not breaking up the 27 Yankees because he didn't build the 27 Yankees, and neither did you. And you spent a lot of money on Edison Volquez and a bunch of other people who Oh, yeah,
Terrible.
well, but this is what I want to ask you. And the part that offended me about Stanton is they gave away something of value as if it didn't have value. And what I want to ask you is, David Sampson, former president of the Marlins, did they get enough for Stanton?
My answer is yes, because of the relief, and that matters. And what you do with the relief is what matters. Whether the prospects turn into players, the fact is it gives them a chance. And I want to talk about the debt because there's a lot of misunderstanding. The team did not have $400 million in debt when it was sold. So it's a complicated thing, these businesses. So debt is not the reason why trades are happening. The reason why trades are happening, in my opinion, as an outsider, because I am an outsider, is because they believe it's the best way to build a sustainable team long term, which we tried and couldn't do. We ended up in the middle way too much. Jerry Reinsdorf told me in 1999, whatever you do, don't be in the middle. And that was 18 seasons ago. And we ended up in the middle way, way too often.
David Sampson with us here on 790 The Ticket. Would George Moss, who was another guy who was interested in purchasing the team, David, would he have been a better owner for this team and this community?
You know, that's obviously that's an impossible question, but no, because he, in my opinion, whatever he would say today, because he's not the owner and he's trying to do the soccer deal and he's trying to be a member of the community, which he is obviously a super important member of the community, he would say no, but the answer is yes, only because I think that anyone would do the same thing, because if I were still there, I must tell you that last year after Jose died, there was a lot of momentum to rebuild the team last year. Because without Jose, even with the signings, we tried with Volquez, we tried with Chen. That's my issue with Scott Boras, right? Wei-Yin Chen was going to be the end-all, be-all. And he may still be good for these next 3 or 4 years that he's on the team, but the first 2 years haven't worked out well, and that's our fault. Well, and Edinson Volquez had a great no-hitter, but we tried to replace Jose. You can't replace Jose. We tried to get innings and experience and wins, and we didn't get anything. We got a no-hitter, which was awesome, but that's it.
How do you feel about Scott Boras?
I can hardly stand him because I know him. And I don't know what people write about him. I know what he does. I know how he acts. I know what he thinks. And I don't think it's good for baseball. And I've gotten in trouble over this over the years, but guess what? I'm unshackled. I can't get in trouble over it. My view is that it's not totally his fault, and that's what bothers me. We're the ones who gave Wei-Yin Chen that money. All we had to do was say no. And he finds a way to make it so people don't say no. So I could compliment him for that, but I'm so upset and angry about the way he manufactures markets and the way he makes owners feel as though they're the greatest people in the world, and that they're one player away from getting a ring, and that they have one foot in the grave, so they better sign this player to win a World Series before they die. It's straight manipulation, and they haven't figured it out. But as I tweeted yesterday, to me it's 14 minutes and counting, because it's going to come a point where you're going to sign his players, you're going to get burned enough times that you're just going to stop.
Couldn't I make the same accusation of the way that you guys got that stadium built, though? Like, couldn't I say that all the same accusations about manipulation to get your money, to get the money, to get the stadium that now allows you to get out of baseball? Couldn't I file some of those same accusations at you?
No, because I think the difference is that we were pretty clear about what a new stadium meant, and we always talked about the fact that the Marlins were going to stay in Florida. We never intended, obviously, for 2012 to go wrong. We never intended any of those. As I always say to you, Dan, you don't get married with the thought you're going to get divorced, but sometimes it just happens. And when we had to make those deals, it was horrific, but we had no choice because we weren't drawing, because we weren't winning. What I want in Miami is to see Marlins Park with a winning team and then see if fans come. Because if fans don't come when the Marlins win, then we've got a serious baseball problem in South Florida. But we've got to show them winning. Whether it's this year or 4 years from now, there'll still be a beautiful new ballpark. We've got to show winning.
David, would you have paid $1.2 billion for the Marlins?
Another good question by you.
In 2 seconds.
Why?
I wanted to. Because I guarantee you that 10 years from now it'll be worth more. And you get to be one of 30 people running a Major League Baseball team. You may not want to run a Major League Baseball team. You may not want to deal with the bad press. you may be worried or upset about how that is. I'm not saying that this about Jeter. I'm saying in general, it's sort of like the hottest girl in class. You really want to go out with her, and then you get her, and all of a sudden you realize that she can't put 3 sentences together to make a paragraph. And you realize that your bodies don't fit, and you realize that it's total crap. But, man, it seemed good at the time. And that is what buying a baseball team is. It feels so good to be known and to have that ego sort of touched the way an ego gets touched. But then all of a sudden you're not the kingpin anymore because you're getting negative press, which is going to happen for every owner. But this team will be worth more than $1.2 billion because I'm very, very bullish on MLB. I just worry a little bit about what it's going to be like for the Marlins for the next couple of years. But from my standpoint, I just want to see the Marlins win, like I do with the Dolphins and the Heat.
David, going back to the Sampson or the Stanton trade question, you said it was good because of the relief it allowed the team, but it seems like the only one that's benefiting from that is the ownership. They just don't have to pay. They're not reinvesting that money in the team, making it better. They're just keeping the money that they would spend on that salary. So how is that benefiting the team other than the ownership?
No, because I think what they do is you take money and you reinvest it when it makes sense. I think the Marlins will be ready to pounce when.
But David, why would we trust these people with that? Like, why? Like, I don't. David, when the stadium was.
You don't trust me, Dan, because I burned you, right? That's why you don't trust me. You have to trust this new administration because they haven't burned anyone yet. Do I think that things could have gone differently? Sure, in terms of communication or PR strategy, but that's not being rude or mean. That's just seeing what I'm seeing being written by you guys. But the fact is, trust that there's a plan and a process and a thought and believe in it.
No, David, no. They built your ballpark. That was the last chance. No is the answer. They deserve to not have a customer next year.
They haven't had a chance, Dan. Give them a chance.
No.
Why?
Baseball has had a chance. Because baseball
What's
forced.
the benefit of being so grumpy, though?
David,
why is that helpful?
David, it's not grumpiness. The MVP of the league just got traded, and we were told that was going to not ever happen again because you already did it once with Cabrera once you got your ballpark. You got your ballpark, and then it happened again. And no, nobody here is going to.
Dan, hold on, Dan. I will let you absolutely crucify me, but only with facts. Cabrera was not traded after we got a ballpark deal. He was traded before we got a ballpark deal because we didn't have a ballpark deal.
And we were told that would never happen again.
Right, but
if you got your ballpark.
The Blue Jays trade happened right after. The Blue Jays trade happened right after, and that's what made me stop being a fan of baseball because the Blue Jays deal, even though in long term you guys probably won that deal, the sign that it signaled to the fans was business as usual.
Dave, you can't keep doing that and then have new owners or new people expect a different result. You just can't. It's happened too many times in this market by too many people.
It's been 3 owners, and I get it, but now we're up to the 4th owner, and let's hope that it's different. Because what other choice do we have?
No, a man or a woman cheats.
Member of our community.
No,
what other choice do you have?
A man or a woman cheats on his relationship one time, maybe you forgive it. 2, 3 times, no. You're going to be scarred forever on what your relationship is with future people.
Yeah, I think that's a horrible way to live, and I think that interrupts your relationships with people. Because
I know.
You basically throw out the baby with the bathwater.
Yes, but
maybe that's why you're so grumpy and upset all the time.
Well, because it is offensive. What happened here was offensive to people I care about, that taxpayers paid for that stadium, and that's how it ended up with the MVP of the league, traded in his prime, and you guys are telling me...
The tourists paid for the stadium. The tourists in Jeffrey, not
our broke-ass city paid for that stadium, David.
It's a tourist tax that can only go to ballparks. Are we seriously still having a debate? If there were no Marlins Park, there'd be no Marlins in Miami. Would that be better?
At this point, David? Seriously. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I'm asking.
No, at this point, maybe. Dave, here's the thing, Dave, with the stadium. The stadium was made here with the idea of we're going to make this town major league. How's it feel today, David? Do the Marlins feel major league to you? Being in the major leagues doesn't make you major league. They are a minor league team in the majors that continues to treat South Florida like a brothel, and they just did it with the MVP of the league telling us that guy doesn't have value.
Metaphors. Hey, you're mixing metaphors. A brothel? Come on. I mean, I love brothels, but you're mixing metaphors.
South Florida got screwed on this one, Dave.
Isn't there a chance that the team wins more than 77 games this year?
No.
Dave, you guys have been making that argument for 10 years while never winning over 77 games.
It's not great. I agree. We've signed the wrong players. Maybe now they'll sign the right ones. I'm trying to put a positive spin on it because I'm a member of the community like you are now. I'm not a member of the Marlins. I'm part of the community, and I want to have a belief, and I don't want to live my life being disappointed all the time, so I'm going to try to look at the bright side. You can either go
but Dave,
full or cup half empty.
Dave, you guys can look at the bright side because you got all the money. Like, it's easy to look at the bright side.
I own as much of the team as you do.
No, but what I'm saying is when everyone makes that much money in the transaction after running their business poorly, it's very easy for you from over there to look at the bright side. While the people who are complaining and yelling are not looking at the bright side because they're not the ones who got the money. I guarantee you that if I give those fans any portion of the money that Loria made on this transaction, they'd shut up with their complaining.
Should we just drop money over the town with that help the economy?
Yes, you should do that.
Yes.
I think that if you did the parade you were talking about, you could drop instead of confetti, drop dollar bills.
Yeah, the parade got neutered. The parade got neutered because Jeter's trying to clean up your boss's mess.
Because this guy's worse.
I don't know.
But then if he's trying to clean up an existing mess that he inherited, why is he getting blamed?
Well, I'm blaming baseball. I'm blaming baseball for gifting Jeter the team, and then I blame you for fleecing Jeter. That's what I do. Yeah. You fleeced Jeter, and I believe that franchise sold for about $300 million more than it should have.
So do you.
And that's why
you
Moss
must have good sources. But all I'm asking is this: when you go into a store and buy a piece of art, there's this artist in Miami who I loved at Art Basel. His name is Lebo or something. Lebo. I don't know if you've heard of him. Lebo is a very good artist. When someone goes in and buys a Lebo for $50,000, except it's really probably worth $10,000, did the person get fleeced?
Yeah.
No, that's not how it works. Things are worth what someone will pay for it in every part of the economy.
No, and usually that's
David, you're acting like things don't affect the sale of anything. That's ridiculous.
But wait a minute. That's a transaction between two people. But if the end result of that is that transaction, that art that I paid $50,000 for was only worth $10,000, and then I take the remaining $40,000 of difference and I throw it to the New York Yankees and give them part of it and tell them, take all of this and here, you can have it, and here, give me back something from your garbage can. I'll take that and put it in my living room as art, then yes, I'm going to be a little bit offended.
I think that you've brought it as far as you can bring it. I just don't think anything, and no one gets fleeced when there's a transaction because it's a willing buyer and a willing seller. That's just how it goes. There's no such thing as fleecing unless it's a forced transaction, and there's no such thing as a forced transaction when it's a willing buyer and a willing seller.
No, but wait a minute, David, the part that you're missing is that baseball wanted Jeter and the other guy had more money. The other guy didn't have to take loans out in order to be able to afford any of this stuff. The other guy didn't have to bring in all sorts of failed partners.
That I shouldn't talk about, but I'm just going to say it. You're 100% wrong. Every single owner who was bidding for the team, potential owner, all of the bidders were in the same exact spot with the same level of debt that they needed for the transaction. There was debt and equity, and that is how things are bought. It's like saying that someone who buys a house for $200,000 and takes out a mortgage for 50 of it is not worthy of owning that house because someone could have bought the house for straight cash. It's just not true.
We'll talk to you soon.
My Lord.
Yeah.
This was awesome. The attack, man.
You enjoyed it, huh?
Good to be back. See you later.
Listen, I can't wait to be back next week to talk more movies.
See you later.
See you about next week.
See you later. Bye, guys.
This is the Dan Levatar Show with the Stugatz on the ticket.
Mike Stugatz is saying this, and I agree with him. Can we get Lorenzo... Stugatz, can you stop opening candy on the air here?
Yeah, it's I'm paying off a grid of death punishment, so I'm just getting ready. I apologize.
What is this grid of death punishment?
This is I believe it's called the Phil Jackson. I got to wear all these rings during the show today.
Oh, my God. So they're candy rings, and you got 10 candy rings? Or what is it, 11 I guess? 11 candy rings?
Yeah, but I'll open them up during the break.
11 ring pops.
Yep.
Is this another one of those grid of death punishments that's going to be a lot harder than you think it is?
Probably, yeah.
You, again, aren't going to be able to type during the show.
I don't know. I think I'll be able to type with these on. I do. I feel like I'll be able to type.
All right. Can you do me the kind favor, Cody, of opening those off air?
Yes, I apologized already and said I would do it during the commercial break. That was very rude of me.
After a contentious interview, and I don't know what the audience did with that interview.
The hardest part of that is not eating them.
I know.
That's the grid of death punishment for Fat Chris.
Yeah.
To wear them on your fingers and not be allowed to eat them. I want to talk. Scotts was saying, and this is the producer in him, and I think he's right, that we should re-air that for the national audience because I don't think the national audience has enough facts on some of what's happening here. And so I don't know how we have to cut that up because there was some fat in it. I'd like to keep some of the movie stuff in it because it's weird.
There's a lot that we can cut from that to make that a cohesive 10-minute segment, I think, that we can play a little bit later today. Our 12 o'clock hour is a little jammed, so maybe 11:30.
Whatever. We'll try and figure that out. That needs to air nationally so people can hear someone that's involved with this question instead of just this celebration that's going on in New York because baseball is great and Giancarlo Stanton is great, and now they've got the 2017 Bash Brothers in New York.
Right. And I do think that people around the country are interested in this story because the Yankee element, because Stanton's become such a big star, and you have access to the former Marlins team president who was right in the middle of the sale.
In all of it.
Still is in the middle.
Well, he is more informed than any of us, right?
Yes.
He's more informed than any of us of the details. And some of this stuff is hard for me to untangle. Logically, logistically, like in my mind, trying to figure out where it is that I'm supposed to stand on some of this stuff because I've always been the guy who has argued against, knock it off with tourist tax or taxpayers. I want major league sports in my town. I've always argued for that because it serves me and I'm a single issue voter.
Right.
Like it serves me.
Sure.
I want major league stuff in my town.
Right.
And so I fought for those things. And now what I'm making, right, David Sampson ran his business in a way that was very beneficial to David Sampson and Jeffrey Lurie. There's no disputing that. But the issue there is they ran their business well for them. They ran their business very, very poorly for us. And now we're still feeling the consequences of that. So when he's telling us, I like to look at the bright side, well, okay, it's really easy to look at the bright side when you're not the one getting screwed. You're the ones doing the screwing.
Right, making money off the deal. Yes.
But normally I don't make emotional arguments. I don't make civic pride arguments. When do you ever hear me make rah-rah arguments emotional? I make rational arguments, and I get mad at the emotional people who will not abide my rational with their emotional.
There's only 2 times that I can recall. This time and rah-rah irrational emotion was with Nick Saban, and you have come to regret how you acted.
Yes, yes. Well, but that was poisonous and judgmental in a way that was cruel and was mean. And I do regret that I was leading an angry mob because the same thing that I led with Nick Saban is what I've now seen since then social media become. And it terrifies me to think that I was once at the forefront of sort of the sports mob that just did what it did to Tennessee. That I did that to Nick Saban.
Right.
And then I came to learn afterward that Huizenga had told him flatly to get Nick Saban, Huizenga, the master closer, told him if at any point you want to leave, you can do so without penalty and without a bad word from me. They had made that agreement. That's something that my emotion on behalf of South Florida didn't have that information and just torched Nick Saban up and down on his character. When that's not irrelevant information.
Well, in regards to what's going on right now, do you think there's any, not that you can say what you don't know here, but are there any potential pitfalls with this similar to that?
No, I'm not going to look back at this and regret this. Well, here's one thing. There was a mutual friend of mine that a month ago, this part I might regret. There was a mutual friend of ours who 8 weeks ago tried to put me and Jeter together. And I talked to Jeter, and we were going to make a plan. And I think he wanted to avoid what's happened, and I didn't make that meeting. I didn't make that meeting happen. And what's happened since then is that Jeter might have needed some help on sort of handling the public relations of knowing and understanding Miami. It's a mutual friend who's like, he's a really good person in my life.
Right.
I'm glad you're mentioning that because I think in all of this, I was sort of perplexed as to why, with a guy who's reputed to be so good at public relations like Derek Jeter, why didn't he get out in front of this? Why is this all catching him by surprise?
And he might not have known what he was walking into in Miami, and I think that might have been what he was reaching out on a couple of months ago. And I feel like everything I've said since has torched any ability. Like, the part that I feel bad about here is that now I'm enemy number one of Derek Jeter on some of the stuff he did, and a mutual friend was trying to avoid this.
Right. And so you might look back at that.
Yeah, that part. But I'm mad on behalf of South Florida, and I don't care. I love that mutual friend, and I'd like to help Jeter if I could, but neither one of those things matter to me the way that South Florida matters to me. And
you passed up a chance to have a meeting with Jeets, huh?
Hold on.
Something I would never do. Who'd he go to after you? Was it Cody?
That would explain some things.
Yes.
He never reached out to me, so I feel fine about all of this.
Why didn't you reach out to me?
You think if you met with him, you could have stopped all of this, Dan?
No. I think I just could have given him a lay of the land on sort of how the Marlins fan feels. No, I don't think I could have stopped anything.
Sounds like there's a little bit of guilt in your voice.
Don't
here.
trade Stanton. Listen, Jeter, the first thing you got to do.
Is this your fault?
It's all his
all
fault.
of it.
Well, that's why I might have some remorse, because I just looked in the mirror and saw that I traded Stanton.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stuckats on the ticket. This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stuckats on the ticket.